So, Anna Glynn, Peter Dalmazzo, for the project of Ecology Science, we asked you to explore two environments, two landscapes. One in Oregon, the Cascade Head, it's a UNESCO biosphere reserve. And Vombsjösänkan here in Sweden is a possible future biosphere reserve. So tell us about your exploration of these two different places, but still on the northern hemisphere both.
Mm-hmm.
During 2 months, so 1 month in Oregon and 1 month here in Sweden.
Yeah, both northern hemisphere and both very different environments from where we live and where we work at home. There's not too many eucalypt trees around here.
No.
Yeah, a different landscape, a different feel, and I think just the shape of the landscape is very different as well. The silhouettes in the landscape are massively different. So, you've got the trees that are almost like children's drawings. Those shapes especially in Oregon.
A lot of conifers,
conifers, pines,
spruce trees, and Douglas firs and other conifer trees that we don't have many of where we come from, and yet there are places here where there are plenty of conifers, as well as broadleaf trees. But in terms of the two landscapes in the two biosphere reserves, great contrasts in these two landscapes. It was a rugged landscape in Oregon, steep hillsides, cascading down to a small river that flowed into the sea, and a turbulent sea a lot of the time. It was never looking like a mirror. And yet, even though it was that more rugged landscape, it had been tamed by people over the last 100 or so years, 200 years. It was park-like. It had been formed with a bulldozer. It had been planted by people to make it into a beautiful park.
For the aesthetic quality. They were shaped by man into what the landholders wanted it to look like and how they wanted that landscape to behave in a way.
But there are a lot of animals that were happy with that. There were elk that had moved in, herds of elk around the place where we were staying
and
most
deer.
of the time. Small deer, coyotes and squirrels, chipmunks.
So UNESCO Biosphere Reserve, that's about man and biosphere. So the interaction between humans and the landscape, the nature, the environment. So when we were at the Cascade Heads and lived at the Grass Mountain, beautiful place, but no people. So when you explored Grass Mountain, and now when you come here to Harlösa, it's a rural area, small villages, and much more people around where you live. So have you felt there have been any differences in that Grass Mountain, you and the animals, and what you worked, what you explored, what you filmed, and here?
I think there's a big difference.
I mean, there are people in the Cascade Head Biosphere Reserve.
There's
lots
of people.
But where
large towns.
If you were sent out to explore on a quest to explore two areas, it came out that you first lived in a place where you almost didn't meet any people. You didn't have to meet anyone.
Yeah, didn't have to meet any people. Yeah.
And here is a little bit different. So had that influenced your work, your exploration?
It provided us with a constraint in that a lot of the work we do is sound recording on these digital sound recorders, and we're trying to record sounds in nature, the sounds of leaves falling, or the sounds of a stream flowing, or birds singing,
chipmunks calling.
Yeah, but you have to go a long way from these roads to not hear, because these roads are in the bottom of the valley. The sound seems to travel up a long way up the hillsides beyond the valley. There are people flying above us a lot as well, and that happens everywhere we've been in the world. There are airplanes. But this landscape, and this goes back to the point I was making earlier, that there's a big contrast between this landscape and where we were in Oregon. This landscape is used intensively by people. There are planted forests that are harvested. Did you tell me every third generation they might harvest the forest?
Or with spruce you can do it almost every generation.
But that's still a lot of forward thinking for people, isn't it?
Yes.
To say, I'm going to plant this tree so that my grandchildren might harvest it. And the fields that have been sown with the four crops of the area, the sugar beet, potatoes, wheat, and rapeseed, are a major feature of this landscape. And the rolling hills, gently rolling hills with those sown crops are beautiful in themselves. So that interaction between people and the landscape greatly influences what we've been collecting here. We were out this morning collecting some footage in a forest, which is no doubt a planted forest, a beech forest, I think. And Anna's eye was caught by a green field beyond, so we had to keep going in that direction, and then film the field and the rock walls that have been built by people generations ago.
So you are still in work in progress. So you will continue the work when you come back to Australia.
Yeah.
So what will it be?
I think it's important that we utilise our time here to be collecting, because it's very tempting to sit inside and be editing sounds and videos and things, but it's a waste of time in some ways, because you're in that location and you need to be out recording it while you're there. And a lot of the stuff that we do are like meditations on nature. So they're just slow moving. But I'm not sure whether the final work or works that we end up with will be a sort of meshing together of Oregon and Halovsa, or whether it will be two separate works. Lucky enough to get some music from Ben Cosgrove, the American composer, that I can play with. He's given me permission. And then Mats Eden, the Swedish composer, has given me a whole lot of music to play with. So that, I think, will somehow influence. I think the music may have a strong influence over how the work comes together.
We probably should say that the work that Anna's talking about will be a multimedia short film of some kind, a video work, a moving image work with sound and some effects that Anna will no doubt want to play with. And the process for us in a situation like this is to come to a place collecting sound recordings, photos, digital video,
and audio,
time lapse above and below water video. So there's that collecting phase where we're out exploring the locations that might offer something that would be interesting to people, or that would tell people a story. And we get support from people like you and other local people to say, this is a pretty interesting place. Maybe you should go there and have a look. And here's a list of places that we spoke to a group of school kids a couple of weeks ago and asked them, where should we go? And we've got this list of places where the local school kids think we should go. So we have that collecting phase. And as Anna said, we like to spend most of our time in residence doing that collecting work. And the second phase is then selecting appropriate material. So we've been doing some of that here. when we're not outside, we're inside with headphones on, listening to sounds and extracting useful sounds and reviewing time-lapse videos and ordinary videos.
But it's also very much a process for me as an artist, like being a painter or a drawer, still working with that area of how I work, that it's like a collage. So I'm not sure what I'm going to use. I have no idea what it's going to be. So it's not like a documentary filmmaker who will have, a list of scenes to shoot and where they're going to do it, and then you edit it together. This is collecting things that attract our eye for different reasons, and sometimes collecting things like the underwater footage with the pike, where we just saw a blocked off stream that we thought, well, that looks kind of interesting. Let's stick the camera under, thinking, well, we'll get a underwater scape with reeds and things, and there might be a fish. And we had a giant pike just swim into the middle of the shot. So
and sat there.
And sat there.
An appropriate amount of time.
Yeah, and then swam off.
Waggled his fins a bit and swam away. So that's the third phase of the process. We've been here collecting and doing some work selecting, and then Anna, as the artist, does the creative stage, so selecting, creating.
But while we're in the two different locations, we do a series of glimpses, what we call glimpses. So at Grass Mountain, we did glimpses with the coyote walking past the cottage. And we did the elk and a night sky looking upwards in the trees. And then here we've done the mushrooms. And I think what some of the dilemma here in Sweden has been that I am blinded by the beauty, and I look at the landscape and but trying to capture that big heroic landscape on film, it's almost too big. Whereas at Grass Mountain, I kind of climbed into the forest and sort of worked within that space in the big forest. Whereas here, I've been trying to look out across the landscape, and it's just not. It just doesn't capture it. So I've been filming it as a panorama, and I'm thinking it might be another layer with some of the more intimate details that we've been filming here of the landscape. So in some ways we've kind of zoomed into areas here.
Yeah, so overlapping videos with crossfades between and sounds that might link the two landscapes as it transitions from one to another.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.